When I met your dad, Dan Pokorny, I felt that it was, since I knew it was hereditary, that I find out whether I had them or not. I had no signs.
You didn't know
yet.
until you were married. You weren't sure, but
No,
you knew
I had no problems. I had no problems. I was very athletic. I went to college, was a phys ed teacher. I taught. I did everything that I wanted to do. There was no restrictions on me at all. But we thought it was a good idea to know whether, when we got married, whether we should have, that my husband had a right to know that there was a possibility his children would have polycystic kidneys.
Was that a stressful situation for you?
No, because I knew that we had all my brothers and older brothers and sisters had led very active lives. They were all in their late 60s when they started dialysis. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything about dialysis because they weren't near me. So I was very uneducated in that respect. And I was told I probably had cystic liver, cystic kidneys, and possibly cysts in other parts of the major organs in my body.
They had already formed.
They had already started to form. And the biggest sign was that I started, when I became pregnant the first time, my blood pressure went up and I started on blood pressure medicine. But that was the very first sign that I had polycystic kidneys. I always use the analogy to people, it's like driving toward the mountains. You know the mountains are out there and you're driving and they get closer, but they're still, the mountains are far away. And it's like dialysis. You know that it's coming because your kidneys are getting bigger, your body is changing, and yet it's coming. You know, it isn't going to ever go away. It's coming. And then finally one doctor says, you know, your creatinine level is such and such. I don't know whether my other brothers and sisters really accepted it as much as, I mean, I had been told by a doctor, you got it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they had been specifically told, you have polycystic disease.
So they may be denying?
I think they were denying the fact for many, many years. So in the very beginning, I talked with my sister, Charlotte, about questions. I would, whenever I saw her, I would have some questions. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? I have to tell you, I was most obsessed once with a med student who came in to do a medical history. Mm-hmm. And when she found out I had polycystic kidneys and had 3 children, she was most irate and very angry that I had done, you know, that I had brought disabled children into the world. And I said, well, I have brothers and sisters who've all contributed to the world. They've never, ever, you know, not earned a living, have gone to college, have been educated, have provided. So, you know, it wasn't, I felt that they had given to society, so we weren't, even if they had a disease, it wasn't, you know, didn't stop the people who were even on dialysis. They kept, my brother was a farmer, he kept farming. My sister, who was a doctor, she was still doing doctoring when she was on dialysis.
Yeah, and she lived many years.
She lived many years, right. They all lived well past their 60s on dialysis. My oldest sister, Charlotte, who started with it, she was on dialysis 8 years.